So if you want to share your name,
Okay, I'm Tom Wakefield.
and then were you born with your disability or was it a result of an accident?
Result of an accident. Drunk driver hit me head on the bridge downtown.
How old were you when
I
the
was
accident happened?
31.
So what was your job experience before the accident and how has it changed any after?
Oh yes, I worked for Old Homebred in the warehouse. I was duck foreman.
So then after your accident, you had
And
to change careers or?
yes, completely, because I couldn't walk. And so I tried a bunch of odds and ends jobs, and Social Security took good care of me. Like I say, I was 31 working for Old Homebred, and my hobby back then, I'd buy used bikes and I'd fix them up, resell them. Well, I just got one done and I was on the way down to work, across the bridge, and all of a sudden there is bumper to bumper traffic, except for my lane, and they saw the drunk driver coming right up my lane. Seems like he had forever to think about it, but I tried to get over as best I could. I couldn't jump over the side of the bridge because there's big utility trucks on my side, and nobody would let me over. And so I got as close as I could to the truck, and they hit me right at my gas tank and my knee. It ripped my leg off. I did a somersault landing, and my leg was on the ground. And my bike did the same thing, and it was total. But I hopped on, I picked up my leg, and I was squirting blood out of my stump, and I hopped on over to the curb, and the utility truck driver, his name was Brad, he did a nice job, and he came over, and I asked him to take my belt off and put it around my stump. So we did that, so I wouldn't bleed to death. And before I know it, the ambulance was there. Within 5 minutes, they got me to the hospital. I was awake all the time. They took me in the ER, and they called my old-time doctor, Dr. Schlichtermeyer. He was a great guy. And he came in, and he shook his head, and so he called the specialist. We just got a brand new specialist, and he came in, and he took one look at me, says, I could save that leg, but I'm going on vacation in the morning, so heck with it. And he left. My doctor came over and looked at me in my face and says, "I'm sorry, Tom, that guy's a complete jerk." And he was. And anyway, they called around trying to get a helicopter all around the area. They tried every big city around. And they finally got one out of mothballs out of Sioux City. And skeleton crew, they came up and got me, and they took me up to Rochester. There, they operated on me 4 or 5 times. And of course, they couldn't save the leg. It had been too long. They worked on my hand, it crushed my hand, but nowadays it works great. I had 4 operations on the hand. All the bones busted in a jigsaw puzzle. And they put plates down here, and they screwed up every piece to the plates, and it was quite something. They tried to use acupuncture to kill the pain. It didn't work. I finally just says, "Hey, just knock me out," and they did. But I woke up, and it was kind of tough at first. And I found out then I was diabetic. I didn't know that. And I was a big guy. I weighed about 280. I'm 6'5", and a lot of weight. I tried several legs. They never could get it fit right, and I was too heavy for them. I'd break them. And every time I had to have them work on it, it cost me a couple $1,000. So I just finally stuck the leg in my closet, and it's still there today. And yeah, then I tried working for the school, taking care of all the kids that had 1F or more. I had 132 in my classes through the day. And the principal gave me one advice. He says, we want these kids to come to school. He says, we get credit from the state, like $5,000 or $6,000 a head. He says, if they don't show up, we don't get it. And so I want you to befriend all these kids and make learning fun and have a good time in the class. Well, there are too many old-time teachers that disagreed with that. And they made my job kind of hell. But I finally just found out I had enough of that. As I was walking out, I talked to my friend in the transportation unit, and she says, well, I need a bus driver. I said, well, I can do that. What's it pay? It paid a lot more than being a teacher. So I drove bus for a while. And finally, they kind of did away with that. I'd transport kids over to Emmitsburg to school over there at the college. And evidently they all graduated from that and they didn't need me anymore. So I tried a lot of odds and end jobs. I went to selling guns. I always kind of had a hankering for guns. So I was a gun dealer. I got my license and I traveled around the whole state to all the gun shows and got to know the people. And I sold a lot of guns. I did that until about 10 years ago. And I finally just retired. I had enough. It was too much work for me. I couldn't load up all the ammo and all the guns. It was just too heavy. And so I retired. We had an auction out here at the fair. And I sold 350 guns out there. But since then, I've just been retired and not doing much of anything. Watch a lot of TV. Yeah, it gets old too. Any other questions?
I think that's all the questions I have. I don't know if there anything else you want to share.
Yeah. Since then, I haven't hardly looked at my guns. I got a few left. And I'm more into my trains or my race cars. I guess that's what I do, take up my time. Yeah. I don't have the feeling in my fingers anymore. I used to do models. I made a lot of models. And during the flood a couple years ago, it destroyed a lot of stuff down the basement, but we only had 6 inches of rain down there. Sewer backup, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks better down there now than it ever did.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me, Tom. And
I wish it was longer.
no, it is perfectly fine length story. It's just great to be able to help share stories and get to know more
Yeah.
people in the community.
I tried to, I lost 50 pounds in 5 weeks of summer. And I had my class reunion 50th this in June 14th. I made it there, but then I got really sick. And I lost all that weight. I couldn't eat or drink anything for 5 weeks. And pretty much just starved myself to death. And lost all my weight. I'm down to my high school wrestling weight, 185. And I start getting a little fat put on, and it goes away because I don't eat. I just have no hankering to eat. Well, they pulled all my teeth for dentures. Well, now I can't chew. So I eat a lot of potatoes, mashed potatoes. It's hard to eat any kind of meat. But anything soft. I like boiled eggs. I mash them all up. They go down good. And they meet my needs. What the heck? But getting to be an old guy now. I look like my dad did when he died at 90. Now I'm only 68. Every time I see a doctor about my foot, I'd have sores on my toes. And he said, oh, let's just take the toe off. So they took the toe off, big toe. Then they turned around, little toe needed it. So they took the little toe and the side of the foot off. And then they came back and got the second toe. And this is all a month apart on all this stuff. So now I'm down to one toe. When I had 2 toes, they called me Tommy Two Toes. That was my nickname. Now, I guess I'm a one-toed sleuth. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
They had to V it into my foot and take the bone out because I had a staph infection, real bad. I spent a month in the hospital about my big toe. That really was bad. But this last one was real bad too. The skin and all this, it'd peel right off. And you could see the bone, you know. I knew they'd have to take the whole thing off. But anyway, it's still wrapped up. I can get my stitches out next week. But you really don't miss them, except for the balance when I stand up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing you give up. So I'm pretty much in a wheelchair or on something I can ride. Really enjoying riding my 3-wheeler around town. I take the trail system everywhere. I can go up the lake on it, and it's kind of fun. It's too cold now.
Yeah.
That's why I told my wife I was going to buy a pickup truck. And she gave me all these criteria I had to stay under. And by guy, I met every one of them. And so she couldn't really say much about it. So I bought a truck. Then I used to be able to walk on crutches. Now I can't stand up. My equilibrium is off. So if I stand up, boom, I fall. So I'm in a wheelchair now.
Yep.
But that just came in the last 5 years.
And then what's family support been like since your disability?
Well, my parents were kind of negative, but my mother-in-law was really supportive. Thank God for her.
Yeah. And then I know you mentioned you have kids as well, so they
I got a boy
Just,
and a girl.
everyday thing for them? Because they probably would have been
Well,
fairly young at the time.
I felt bad for my boy because I couldn't do sports things with him, and it's hard for me to sit on benches. Yeah, I think to this day it affects him.
And then what challenges have you faced in Spencer, like getting around, or has it been?
Well, now I use an electric three-wheeler, a trike, and it goes 30 miles an hour. Gets me around town pretty good. But it's getting cold now.
It changes the
I
how you get around.
told my wife I was going to buy a used pickup truck sitting out there.
Yeah.
Do I use it? Not much.
And then I guess, how have you seen accessibility change in Spencer since you were 31 to now?
It's been pretty good all along, really. The only place I experienced was if I went to Mexico. It was pretty bad down there for disability. I don't care to go back.
Yeah. And what are some of your hobbies that you enjoy doing?
I got too many of them. I collect G.I. Joes, the big ones, since I was a kid in the 60s. And I got a room full of them. And then I got another room full of my 00 trains. I work on that during the winter time, or when it's cold out. About the time I get down there and start working on it, but I'm trying to remodel it and make it bigger. Well, you can do anything you want to do. You put your mind to it, you can do it. I get around, a lot of times I work on the floor, but I get around on the wheelchair pretty good.